Welcome, my name is Timothy Halloran. I am an evolutionary astrologer, and in these videos we discuss what and why is our experience here on planet Earth. So we're going to be talking about March 2024, especially a new moon coming up this Sunday, March 10th. As we know, the new moon sets the theme and tone for the forthcoming month. So we're going to, in particular today, be discussing the stripping away of outdated roles, particularly surrounding moralistic belief, or dealing with the theme of sacrifice, surrender, love, belief systems. We can be taking a look at these days. So first of all, I like to combine the objective astrology, what and why, with the subjective experience, how we receive it, and use myself and personal examples to make this as approachable, useful information as I can possibly make it. So first of all, and to begin with, you can support me. I have been putting these videos on YouTube for free for over 10 years. I have yet to receive a paycheck from YouTube. You can, by the way, donate money. That's a new feature. You can hit the thumbs up. You can share my video with your friends. You can request your favorite interviewer to interview me. Or if you have a retreat space, you are welcome to invite me to your forthcoming retreats. Disclaimer, I don't do my retreats for free, and I'm not going to be the first guest on your up-and-coming interview podcast that has yet to begin. See, what I can no longer do is continuously give out handouts for free without there being reciprocation, and that's a part of what I'm working on through all of my interactions and my work. You see, there's this term sometimes called an old soul, and I wouldn't want to sound pretentious or narcissistic by labeling myself as an old soul, but all I got to say is that if that were a phenomenon, my guess is the experience of being an old soul would be like being a mom or a dad and everyone else is your child. And it's almost on an unconscious level that people approach me for free handouts or supports as if I have infinite resources coming to me from everywhere. And of course, whenever there's an issue or problem, I am just the first person to blame. So you can support me, and that's one way that you can support me. I'm trying to get real evolutionary astrology out to a world where pop astrology is increasing in popularity, but for the most part, the collective belief systems, the majority, the popular belief systems, is more about avoidance and escapism as opposed to actually learning what real life is. I speculate if we lived in a world where everybody downloaded into their brains real astrology, we would relate to each other with hundreds of times more consideration. We would love each other and understand each other and improve one another's lives with every single interaction. And we would not be repeating the same nightmares and horror stories again and again and again, relationship after relationship. We could be the antidote to those old horror stories. That's why I teach evolutionary astrology. You can learn evolutionary astrology direct from me at my community at RasalilaCommunity.com. I will also be announcing our forthcoming Q&A at the community where you can get a mini chart reading from me every single month. Okay, let's dive into the astrology of March. And again, some of these themes we're going to hear will stay relevant throughout this broadcast. To begin with, March is a significant in-between month. You heard me all of February. I put so much information out in February because there was a tremendous amount of collective chaos and uncertainty and loss and confusion. And I put out again and again and again, this is because we're beginning new cycles. The old is going out, the new is coming in, but do we know what the new is when it comes in? No, it is unknown. It is mysterious. So many of us are taking a leap of faith into the unknown at this time. And before I continue my rant, I have one more announcement I forgot to mention. I keep forgetting. I had some recent interviews that's chock full of amazing information. So if you go to Rasalila Healing, the main YouTube channel, I'll put links in the video description. I did an amazing talk with Sir Hood on the coming age of Aquarius. Some really amazing gems, I mentioned with him that I haven't shared quite yet, as well as speaking to Alex of Coyote Star Astrology, largely about all of the Chiron influence that's still all in the collective, in the air. We're breathing it. So there's a lot of information in those two recent interviews you can check out on my main channel as well. And again, please share those things around. I would like to be more known and be getting evolutionary astrology out to those people who really want to get to the real astrology. And folks, there's so much shit that gets put on me all the time. Oh, Timothy's really narcissistic. Timothy's really narcissistic. Timothy thinks he's the best astrologer on the planet. There's a reason why I'm so self-announcing. The proof is in the pudding. My intention being this way is to put evolutionary astrology as taught by Jeffrey Wolf Green in people's hands. I'm not pointing to me. I'm pointing to Jeffrey Green. Get your shit figured out. Jesus. And I knew, for the record, before I moved up here into Asheville, how bad the New Age movement actually is. And I was feminist, by the way before it was pop or trendy to be feminist. But here, this is like a New Age hub town. Off the charts ridiculous. This is the most privileged, pretentious, uncaring, uncompassionate, and out of integrity place ever. All these whitewashed, spoiled children move into nature, get paid by mom and dad to do absolutely nothing. These are the people that believe they're entitled to be spreading their missions. Kind of like how the rose priestesses think they're entitled to know what femininity and feminine wisdom is. These people are clueless, leading a cult that is patriarchy inverted, where now you put women in replacement of men, and the man-hating here in Asheville is off the charts. It's absolutely insane. Asheville's making me want to become misogynist. It's just fucking embarrassing. I have been the feminine teacher for decades. Just because I have a penis doesn't mean I can't do it. I'm going to start doing retreats and workshops here in Asheville titled Mansplains Moon. Jesus Christ. Because yeah, you got to learn about this stuff. Just because you're born with a womb doesn't mean you're automatically the next fucking savior. The way people here in Asheville form these cults, it's just like, holy shit, get me out of here. And I am on my way out of here. I can't stand it here. I moved here thinking, oh, a New Age hub town. Certainly there'll be some people interested in learning real astrology. No one here is interested in real anything. Here's a Pisces new moon conjoined Saturn reality for you. A lot of the New Age spiritual movement is a religion of avoidance. Is a religion of delusion. More people are interested talking about mythos, about Atlantis, than what's going on right in front of our faces. Evolutionary astrology is to understand what and why is your life. We're not talking about 12D. We're not talking about extraterrestrials, because that shit is irrelevant. And stop judging me for being the one person who cares about helping other people, instead of misleading them like a lemming leader off of the cliff. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cave and conform to the masses just because there's more numbers of idiots than people who know what they're doing. So again, narcissistic, pretentious, sure, if you want to label me that, fine. I'm pointing to the real astrology. I didn't invent this shit. No one did. Have some respect for the actual wisdom keepers on this planet. Okay, I realize this has been a 10-minute rant. I actually have a bigger rant. I didn't publish it, but I'll put it in the video description. I posted it on the Sun-Mercury-Saturn conjunction, and it's just a pure channeling of Saturn in Pisces, where this new moon on the 10th is fascinatingly right in between Saturn and Pisces, ruled by Neptune, also in Pisces. So there's a very fascinating dichotomy here, because Saturn in Pisces is this get real and stop pretending. And all of these like Asheville New Agers, the most spoiled, pretentious children, sheltered, have never had real life experiences, don't know how hard life can be. Oftentimes, these are the folks that are pretending to be Jesus Christ, dressing all in white and walking on water as if they know how to help anybody. You're so spoiled and privileged, you can't help anybody. You don't know anything when you're that sheltered and privileged. So let's be real. Who is unconditionally loving? And who has infinite resources to give everything all the time? Maybe Jesus Christ. I haven't met him in person, but I haven't met anyone who's walking on water. So let's get real. We all have got limitations. We are all conditionally loving. And those who are pretending they're unconditionally loving are oftentimes some of the most narcissistic, delusional, take without giving and don't even know that you're doing it the whole time. Whereas the people who give without taking are oftentimes feeling like there's something wrong with me. Oh my gosh, I have a dark streak. Oh my gosh, I think critically because I've had experiences that have led me into recognizing what reality is. There ain't nothing wrong with you for having a dark streak. I am not going to change my mood, my tone. This is how I'm going to be because I'm filtering out the delusional assholes. Get away from me, and I'm not giving you any more free handouts. If you want to learn what and why is your life, your experience, and help other people better than you ever could, then evolutionary astrology is one of the most useful tools for your medicine bag. Okay. So the start of March is actually really bumpy. And I'm actually channeling this too because we've got Venus ruling the South Node squaring Uranus exact. They were exact yesterday, and then Mars follows and squares Uranus this Saturday the 9th. So the first week of March is actually quite bumpy. It's going to be a little bit more in between as we start to get into March. There's still a bit of uncertainty, but we're also starting to get this blueprint of where things are going. We can also be starting to breathe in a little bit more of excitement where things are going. But I am going to say when we get to April, we get our solar eclipse in Aries on Chiron. April's going to be an exciting month too. And to cut to the chase, a lot of the collective theme is going to be individual, highly personalized healing crises. Everyone's scrambling for energy and motivation when we got none. What can we do to get back on our horse, get motivated, get excited? How can we support one another without sacrificing one another, without giving it all away? This really is the theme of the day. Moon's nodes in Libra, Aries. Moon's nodal ruler, square Uranus right now. We are in the midst of this curveball, rug ripped out from under our feet. Now they like us, now they don't. Now we like them, now we don't. Now we liked this or that, now we don't. And it's almost like a Russian roulette, giant experiment. Run all of the tests, do all the experiments, go to the all-you-can-eat buffet, try out every single possibility, develop that sense of taste, because when it's just right in a Venus Goldilocks type of way, that is for you individually, uniquely, as a free, autonomous human being. Mars, Aries, do what you want. Do what direction honors your soul. We can't go too much in other people's directions if life is calling us over here, and we may not want to go it completely alone. But the going it completely alone, honestly, is going to remain a collective theme now through the next several months, and it's not all wrong. The desert wander experience is going to be a healthy, necessary, miraculous rite of passage for quite a number of us. It's not the end. The desert wander experience actually informs us of where we want to go, what we want, and what we need quite quickly. So if we don't know, we need to go through the desert wandering experience till we come out at the end of the day with this reprioritization, this redirection, and also rediscovery of who and what we are as unique individuals and what gets us going, what motivates us to do the work that only we can do. Now, part 2 of the astrology is we've got this interesting dichotomy between the stellium of planets in Pisces. Again, the new moon is joined with Saturn and Neptune, and those planets are going opposite to the asteroid Juno in Virgo. And asteroid Juno in Virgo has so much to do with devotion and commitments to the other and how we're exchanging and collaborating. And the fact that Venus squares Pallas Athena on the 18th, then Juno squares Pallas Athena on the 26th. Venus is opposite to Juno on the 19th, so the 18th to 19th, wow. Venus square Pallas, opposite Juno. Very fascinating what's going on in relationships. And this is, again, this theme of stripping away moralistic beliefs, stripping away conditioned expectations, obligations, specifically around role identification. I mean, the beaten tradition is men and women are both required to sacrifice in different ways. This is, again, why I am done with the Asheville man-hating. You really think it's a man's world? It's a man's world in certain places. I can't go out into the really progressive world of Asheville and pretend that it's a man's world. It's actually inverted here. It is a man-hating, feminine paradise where narcissistic women can come here and thrive. Turns out there's places like that on the planet, too. So women sacrifice and men sacrifice. Men fought the wars. Men were in the factories. The fact that women think it was a man's world is just fucking insanity. It never was, and it never will be, frankly. I know who births children. I know who the actual progenitors and creatrix are. Thank you very much. I am extraordinarily respectful to the feminine, extraordinarily respectful to the feminine. It's really hard to do that when the feminine is man-hating on me and giving me shit because I'm a Gemini intellectual as if that were a criminal act and I need to change, and everyone's head to the heart, head to the heart. That's stupid New Age bullshit. If you don't have your head on straight and you're just one heart with no brain, you're an idiot. You're going to get taken advantage of, and you're probably taking advantage of other people all the time. I don't think you've got a big heart at all with a big brain, without a big brain. Why do we have all these platitudes in the New Age? They are not only misleading, they are damaging. Lemming leaders leading lemmings off of cliffs. That's the trend. If I wanted to grow my numbers, I could do it so easily. Oh my God, I would just pick a random page out of a Ram Dass book and post it on Instagram every day. Everyone eats that shit up. Guess what? I was super into Ram Dass and bought dozens of Be Here Nows and was handing them out when I was in my teens. Y'all think you're more advanced? Because I have discovered more than Ram Dass some decade, two later. So, we're hearing a lot of Uranus from me today, because guess what? All of these new cycles with people and hobbies and even our taste, style, and what we value, we're breaking in this new cycle largely by knowing what we don't like first. This is classic, especially Mars in Aquarius, but Venus also in Aquarius, also up until March 11th. Then Mars goes into Pisces March 22nd. Mars in Aquarius, especially those who have Mars in Aquarius children, have you not noticed that they reject what they don't like before they know what they do like? That's not a problem. That's not something to feel bad about. This is why I say divine discontent we want to associate with Uranus and Aquarius. It's like, yeah, there is something wrong. There is something that needs to be changed. What do we need to do? The old cat o' nine tails, flagellate ourselves in a stupid, outdated Pisces age belief type of way? What do we got to send apology letters out to every single person that we stepped toes on while we were being crucified? Give me a break. That's the number one thing that lets me know how stupid, sheltered, and uncompassionate a lot of these sheltered, privileged people are. And it's all around the world, right? But it's like, put a smile on. Why are you complaining? When you're complaining about your actual life experience, you put out a repulsion vibe, and then you push the really loving, compassionate people like myself away. You know what? You're not actually compassionate and you're not actually loving, because if you were, you wouldn't be repulsed by those going through struggle and strife. You would be attracted to those going through struggle and strife, the way Jesus hung out with prostitutes and tax collectors. But I don't see any of my New Age peers hanging out with such folks. They're too busy crucifying them. And as I've said time and time again, many of these so-called witches would sooner burn an actual witch at the stake than come to understand the fullness of nature as it is. The fullness of nature is not savory to all of us. Saturn in Pisces, reality. So we have to concoct all of these fake New Age belief systems about how, oh, we're saved and we're perfect and we're on this team, or we're from this extraterrestrial race, and oh, the fallen here on this planet, the fallen, the Luciferians, the fallen, the Illuminati, they're responsible for everything that's wrong with the world. Actually, that type of bypassing, projecting, and blaming is the true evil. And what it is that you're calling a demon or a fallen soul is another human being that reflects the parts of yourself that you cannot look at. I'm not going to be a fluffernutter, bright and shiny new ager trying to attract more popularity, although I certainly could by being a fake asshole. I'm going to be just the opposite, to filter all those sad people out and to bring the real people to me, because y'all are the only ones who are going to be able to handle and hold evolutionary astrology anyways. So if I were trying to appeal to the masses, I would simply be wasting my time. This whole rant is playing out on highly individual levels in all of our relationships. For women, there's plenty to talk about. Women have had to just sacrifice your identity and give it all to your man and merge with your man and go to your man's football games and applaud for him and cheer for them and be in the background because you've got to take care of him. Do you think that any of that's acceptable either? Fuck no. Flush that shit down the toilet. By the way, 2024 is the year where codependency smells like shit. And a lot of folks who are single, you may not feel it quite yet, but it's like, hot damn, I'm glad I'm single this year. Look at all of these sad, codependent, miserable people in their unhealthy relationships where one person is sacrificed to the other, period. One person exists, the other person does not exist. Folks, I am a big eyeball. I look at what's around me. This is the majority of relationships, the majority of them. I don't want to put everyone down. I certainly don't want to say, hey, those in relationships, trouble is about to happen. No, so much healing will happen through the mirror of relationship this year because we need autonomy, because we need necessary freedom to be ourselves, even within relationship. And love grows between a dance between union and separation. When Prince and Princess move into the castle and the credits roll at the end of the Disney movie, that's not where we stay forever and ever, happily ever after. That's when the real drama begins. And if we don't have the balance of the dance of union and separation, we will stagnate. We will lose sense of who we are. We will lose sense of who the other person is. We will become lost and we will lose our soul. We will lose our hearts. This is no joke. We need to practice separating in our relationships, in our nuclear families, in order to increase our love, in order for love to grow, in order to actually be supportive of one another as human beings. Because to be totally honest, probably the most common work that I do with clients in my readings over the last 10 years has been getting over the guilt or inadequacy that we should and ought to separate from our long-term partner or our biological nuclear families. We are conditioned by society to believe that that is our obligation to the point of becoming oppressed. This is not necessary. This is not actually love. This is not healthy sacrifice. And that's the theme of the day with this new moon in Pisces, March 10th, joined both Saturn and Neptune. There is healthy sacrifice. There is healthy giving. There is ways to put ourselves out there without having to demand so much back in return, like being a fountainhead that's just continuously spilling over. This is, for example, demonstrated by the true artists and the true musicians. Are they in it for the money? Are they in it for the audience? They're in it because that's their soul, that's their passion. Do they also need the money? And do they also need the audience? Yes, they do, you do. Do not pretend you're some evolved soul who can just make your art by yourself in your little bubble while you're being disrespected and not taken seriously. Nobody deserves that. Nobody's place in life should be bottom of the barrel, untouchable. And when we feel like that in our social circles, when we feel like that in our local environment, something has got to change. It is not necessarily a sign that there's something wrong with you. You not fitting the hive mind, you not fitting the gears, cogs, and wheels of a prison world is not something wrong with you. But remaining in that prison world as if we cannot do anything about it, that's a misconception. We certainly can. These are the times. These are the days. Okay. So this is actually a time where new perspectives, new groups, new people can actually be leading us into forming more exclusive, specialized networks, connections, collaborations, and such specialization. Again, we got to filter people out. We got to filter things out. We got to filter distractions out of our life. Is this not what spirituality and purification is all about? It's not necessarily about sacrificing yourself, bleeding all the way out and merging with everything and everybody. That is not on the menu for anybody. The more you do that, you are going underwater. You better have a life vest. The more that we limit and specialize and hone, this is an opportunity to increase intention. Now there's better, more valuable richness happening faster, more productively, more effectively, in less amount of time. So tremendous opportunity to redefine social, gender roles, taste, style, and we're in the midst of the redirection machine. Okay. Saturn opposite to Juno, that's mid-month. We're going to be really looking at traditional relationship dynamics. This is also where any abusive or oppressive dynamics in relationships, that stuff resurfaces. And it's like, you know, everyone has this. So first of all, no one pretend that their hands are clean. Even rose priestesses, get out of the clouds. Why does this come up? Is it our daddy? Did we get beaten by our daddy, for example? I forget what the percentage of likeliness of physically, beating your children if you've been beaten is, but it's more than 2 to 3 times. That's Saturn. That's real life. Again, why the fuck are we throwing people who have had hard lives under the bus when they're actually the ones that need love and support the most? This is Saturn reality. We can do a case study of Russia and Putin and get into all these dynamics. Does this actually work? Is this going to help our world in the long run? How do we deal with trouble people? Negative reinforcement, punishment, ostracization. Does that work or does that backfire? I'm not saying I have the answers yet. This is for our whole species to discover these forthcoming decades. It's a whole new psychological reality we are now entering. Okay. So again, relationships, we're really looking at, okay, this devotion to what and sacrifice, is it necessary? And Saturn opposite to Juno is also where we can recommit on a deeper, more meaningful, long-lasting, long-term type of way, but we've got to work it out, like form a contract here. And the contract is to form the security, but also the protection, so that way we're on the same page and we don't have to worry about hurting one another. Again, if everyone had astrology downloaded into their brains, we would not be repeating one another's nightmares to one another. Good job, all you Asheville people. Yeah, you certainly know everything, I can tell. But if you actually knew real astrology, we would do the opposite. We would show up for one another and we would recognize, oh, I'm getting pulled into repeating your childhood nightmare, because this is what actually happens for everybody. This is the unconscious field. It's like magnets. If you had a map in your brain, you'd be like, oh, the magnets are pulling me into repeating your traumas. So let's go the opposite way. We can do that. Absolutely possible. New moon. Square asteroid Vesta, deconditioning socially imposed morality. We've got to look at our own inner scripts with this one too, like where we're giving ourselves pats on the back or shaming ourselves inwardly, like good boy, good girl, bad girl. It's like, hey, watch out for that. It's a time to revise through this reparenting how this reward, punishment, recognizes and honors who we are, so we don't have to bend ourselves all out of shape anymore. This new moon is semi-sextile to Mars. We're going to be able to move a bit more, bring new visions into being by acting on our hearts and wills united. People love to project onto me, oh, Tim, you're talking about fighting. You're talking about the masculine. Absolutely. I'm a Bhagavad Gita boy. Krishna says you have to fight on the battlefield of life, period. There's no escape. This is all I see about real life. People give me a hard time, like, oh, don't fight. That's mean. That's cruel. Just fight with love. On this planet, you haven't lived. You haven't met the real world yet. We are born onto the battlefield of life. Let's unite our will with our heart. Stop pretending the two are separate. Stop pretending the mind and the heart are separate. These are silly, outdated beliefs that are connected to self-sacrificial, flush your humanity, power, and potential down the drain. It's not cute anymore. It's not loving anymore. It's not polite anymore. You're not teaching anybody what's better anymore. Get the fuck off your high horse. Get real. The new moon's also sextile Uranus and Taurus. This is a good new moon, honestly. Again, March is in between. Pisces season, March. How can we experiment to get new resources? Jupiter is approaching Uranus all this month in April. There can be hidden blessings. There can be jackpot lottery wins strewn in with the bumpiness, strewn in with the curveballs and the rug getting ripped out from under our feet. So don't just necessarily tally up your losses and take it too seriously. Don't just tally up your wins and take it too seriously. I'd have backup plans for all the above. It's like we want to have multiple things that we can aim for that are exciting. Eliminate multiple things that are distracting, interfering, or energy sapping. And then if one thing or the other thing falls out, we've got a backup plan. And we can just trust one step after the next that it's all going to be coming together, because it's not just a little transition we're going through 2024, folks. This is a significant transition. It can change everything about your life, who, what, and where. And rant, again, it is a true honor and pleasure to play the message delivery mailman for your soul today. I enjoy putting these videos out for free. It is a part of my spiritual practice as well as my service and offering. That said, if you've gained any support from me over the decade of putting these videos online for free, you can also offer help back to me. You can donate money. You can share this video with your friends. You can promote me to the other interviewers out there, invite me to your retreats. That would be very supportive, because it's not just me and my face. Evolutionary astrology, as taught by Jeffrey Wolf Green, the most useful tool I have ever come across in my life by a long shot, still has not made its way into pop New Age, pop astrology, or the majority of the astrological community. You can join my Astro School, $36 a month. Get the full education at a go-at-your-own-rate, self-taught style. That includes invitation to my monthly Q&A. So you also can bring in your birth chart or ask questions about evolutionary astrology or what you're learning in the school as you are learning it. I hope to see you there. There's going to be quite a number of new announcements as the community is going to be evolving and changing in the forthcoming weeks and months. Let's bring in some of the magic of this Pisces season. The new moon also joins with Neptune. So the inconceivable, the impossible, miracles are also out there to be discovered, enjoyed, held, and appreciated.